Hey guys, welcome back to Tony the Technician's channel. So today we are going to continue to pull the engine out of the 85 Camaro. This should be part 3. I actually have a guy that's buying the engine and transmission because I don't have anywhere to put it here. So as soon as I get it out, it needs to be gone. So I'm giving him a really good deal on it. I just need it out of here. A few $100. Engine, transmission, radiators, all that good stuff. So he's getting a good deal. I'm getting it out of here. And it's just some money for either tools or more engine parts. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be jacking the Camaro up. We're going to be disconnecting the exhaust, disconnecting the starter, and then we're disconnecting the transmission bolts that hold the transmission to the engine. And then once we get that separated, we'll be able to remove the motor mounts, the distributor cap, and pull it out. So that's it for today. That's what I'll be covering. Hopefully when I get the car jacked up, you guys can see underneath there what I'm doing. So hopefully it's a good video, but I guess we'll see. But I did get this in today. It's K&N. It's a 621490. It's an 1.25 inch nipple on the bottom for the valve cover breather. It's a crankcase breather. Originally in the photo and the video I watched of these, the filter is actually gray, and they supply you with a tube, like a little rubber tube thing full of red, the K&N grease, and you're supposed to run it in between each one. Well, when I got it, it was just a red filter. So I don't know if they discontinued that type or if they just had it displayed wrong, but I guess whatever. It still fits, but one thing you do want to do, it actually already comes with a little bit of grease on the bottom, because you do want to make sure it's nice and lubed for putting it in the valve cover. You don't want to tear it or anything like that. So I'm just going to use a couple dabs of oil, put it on here, and then we'll slap it in the valve cover. Nothing big, just a nice little part. And then we'll actually get started on the engine engine pull. So got the oil on the end, as you can see. Now on this one, I actually have my PCV valve, so that one's going to stay like that. And then this side, you'll just simply press it in. Might have to set my phone down, but 1 second. Alright, so there we go. It's just simple as pressing it in, and that little grommet will sit right in the valve cover. So that's it. I think it looks pretty good, matches my engine as well. So there we go. Now we can actually get moving on this project, which is not too much left. So I'm just going to start by jacking up the vehicle and setting the front on a couple jack stands. Alright guys, so I'm going to start off with the exhaust, which is going to be a size 14. Let's see if I can show it to you. So there's one. There's going to be 3 bolts on this side, 3 on that side over there. And then once we get that off, I'll probably disconnect it right here, and we will go ahead and remove the starter wires after that and probably drop the starter off of the engine. But I'm going to take my 1/2 inch impact and see if I can get these bolts off. I'm going to spray them up with some WD-40 first, let them sit for about 5-10 minutes, and then crank them off. Okay guys, so got this side unbolted. Looks like they used RTV in there or something. I did have to use a stubby wrench on top to hold the bolt, and then I used my impact to hit the nut from the bottom, and they came right out. So that's good. Now I'm going to move on to the other side. I'm not sure if they're the same size or not, but I'll let you know. So this side is the same size, but it's only 2 bolts, and can't really get a socket on that one on the right because it runs right into the header almost. So I'll have to use a wrench and see if I can get that one off. But I'm going to go ahead and remove those 2 bolts and see if we can get the Y pipe taken off. Alrighty guys, so we got all 5 of the exhaust bolts removed. These are the 3 from the passenger side, 2 from the driver's side. I wasn't able to use my impact on these because you can't get it in there. So I had to use my swivel head sockets in order to get them off. But we did get them off, if you can see that. Now I'm gonna go over there to that adapter and I'm gonna unbolt that and see if we can just pull this off. We'll see how bad it is. Guys, not too sure if you can see that. That is where the header meets the exhaust or the Y pipe on the driver's side. And then here's where it meets on the passenger side. All I did was take the handle from my jack and a mallet and I put it on top over here and I just smacked it and it came right out. So the exhaust is disconnected. Now the only thing holding it on is right here. I'm going to probably spray this with some WD-40 and then do the same thing right here. Put it right here, knock it forward, see if we can get it out from the rest of the exhaust. Alright guys, so I got those 2 bolts removed. I believe they were 9/16. Yeah, 9/16. And I told you that before, I believe, but I was going to get it off and I was hitting it with the hammer and I got it basically removed all the way and then I just kept wiggling it back and forth and it still wouldn't come off. Don't forget to take your O2 sensor out. And then I couldn't get it any further, so I just decided to take basically the rest of the exhaust off and pulled it out and just ripped it off. But that took me like a half an hour alone just because they wouldn't come apart. If you're not using the same exhaust, you could cut it. I didn't cut mine even though I'm not reusing it. But so it's finally off and now we can move on and get under there and get the starter unhooked. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for that. Alright guys, so here's the starter right by the passenger side exhaust header, and right up here on the back of the solenoid you're gonna have a bolt that you're gonna remove and release the wires off of there. And then we're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 bolts and pull the starter off of the engine. And then after that, we will start on the bolts that hold the transmission to the bell housing and see if we can get it separated that way instead of the bell housing to the block. Hopefully we can do it that way. The bolts seem a little bit easier to get to. So let's get the starter off. Alrighty guys, so just got the starter removed. It's gonna be 2 5/8 bolts here, the 5/8 for the power, and then for the starter wire or your ignition wire, it is gonna be a 5/16 nut right here. And then your starter will just come right out. So that's it for the starter. Now we can move on to looking at the bell housing bolts. Okay, so before we start with the bell housing bolts, or the transmission to bell housing bolts, you have to release the cable that goes down and actuates your clutch. So that's going to be a size 10, it's 2 bolts. And then another thing you want to do, get your drip pan ready and get a support underneath the front of the transmission. Likely when you undo this, if it doesn't separate itself, when you separate it, fluid will come out most likely, and it's going to be front heavy because the cross member's towards the back of the transmission. But let me show you what we'll be using this on. so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So right there, you see that little rubber boot. There's an actuator inside there, and the cable runs up to your clutch. So you have to remove these two bolts because it is attached to the part that we're going to be pulling. Because if we separate it right here, we're going to pull everything from here forward out, and nothing there can be attached. So we're going to go ahead and release that and then get started on the bell housing bolts, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so for the bell housing bolts, you will need a 5/8 socket. I also grabbed some extra extension and a swivel head, and then I got my support on my transmission, got that plate removed and that pulled out so it won't get snagged when we're trying to pull the transmission out. Also, don't forget to disconnect this wire that goes into the side of your transmission. And then the bolts that we'll be removing are 5/8 like I stated before. And I'm about to pull those now. I'll let you know if there's anything else that you need to do before this point. Okay, so I found one thing that you will want to disconnect before separating them. Not sure if I can see it from up here. Basically this wiring harness goes down, and those are the wires that run to your starter. Well, as you can see, it is attached to the transmission where the transmission meets the block right here. So you will have to remove that bolt from the bell housing to block and get that wire disconnected. Otherwise, when you pull the engine, all this is going to want to come with it. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that and then double check everything and separate them. Okay guys, so it's a 3/4 or 3/4 socket I used with a flex head and extension, and I was able to get up there and remove that bolt, pull the starter wires off of the transmission. I then went and put the bolt back in because as of right now that's not where I'm separating the engine and transmission. We'll see. And then I went to the other side and double checked everything, made sure there was nothing else connected, and we're good there. So now I believe we can actually start unbolting the transmission from the bell housing, which is the 5/8, which I'm using my impact, and gonna see if we can zip it off. Okay guys, so the bell housing bolts are not 5/8, they're actually a 15mm, which is this right here. Couldn't quite get it with my impact, so used my breaker bar, broke it loose, and then zipped it out with the impact. I got 2 of them out right now, the 2 on the driver's side. Now I'm going to do the 2 on the passenger side, get that removed, and then we'll get the motor mounts removed and see if we can separate them. Okay, so we got the 4 bell housing bolts removed. One's right there. Maybe you can see the one on the other side, and then the one up top. But the one that gave me the most trouble was that one right up there. If you can see, not this one, this is the bottom one. The top one goes right here. Couldn't get the impact up there, but got a flex head ratchet up there. Finally broke it loose, got it out. As you can tell, fluid is starting to come out in between. That's why you make sure you have your drain pan. And now we're going to remove the motor mounts and see if we can get these things separated. So as far as the motor mounts go, it's pretty simple. This is the passenger side motor mount. You got a bolt head here and a nut on the other side. Same thing for the driver's side. And the 2 sizes are going to be 11/16, if you can see that, and 5/8. So I'm gonna hold the backside with ratchet and zip the motor mounts out. Then we'll see how much play we have. Hey guys, so got that motor mount bolt out, which is right here. Just had a ratchet on the back and then the impact on the front, pulled it right out. It's sitting perfect where didn't even have to wiggle the engine to get it out. I don't even have the engine on a hoist yet or anything, so it's just sitting on there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the driver's side. Guys, so finally we have both motor mounts out, or the bolts out, and the engine is actually ready to be pulled out. Hopefully disconnecting it from the transmission to the bell housing works and we can get it out that way. Otherwise we'll have to go in and undo the bolts from the bell housing to the block. But this is as much as I can do until I can get my buddy over here to help me, because we're gonna need to remove the hood in order to get the cherry picker in and the engine lifted far enough out. And then it's just nice to have some help when you're lifting something like this. You don't want anything bad to happen. You got more sets of eyes on it. And it's not necessary, but I like help when it comes to something like this. Usually with my own stuff, I don't like a lot of people messing with my stuff, so I like to do stuff myself. But you just gotta know when to tell yourself, hey, it's best if you get yourself some help. So I'll get my buddy over here, he'll help me remove the hood, and then we'll get the engine pulled out. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was some helpful information, and we'll still have to remove the distributor cap and wires, but as far as I know and can see, that's as much that needs to be taken off, and we are ready to pull the engine out. So as soon as my buddy gets over here, we'll get it pulled out. I'll show you guys how to do that. And thank you guys again for watching my videos. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys once again. Take care. Hey guys, so this is the end of part 3, I believe, and we've got everything done except for the actual engine being pulled out of the car. It's all done. I contacted a buddy that I go to college with. He's very experienced. He's been doing it for many years, and he's really good with it. But he's gonna come over in a couple days and actually help me remove my hood, get it set aside to make some room. And then he suggested that I put the bolts from the bell housing to the transmission back in and just take the bell housing to block bolts out. So I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. That's really it though. So then by the time he comes over, all we got to do is take the hood off, strap the engine up to the cherry picker, and pull it out. But I hope I was helpful for some of you guys. I know my videos could improve. I could get a tripod or something and try and show you guys stuff, but it's really hard when you're in little nooks and crannies of the car and doing stuff like that. So I mean, I try my best. I hope you guys still enjoy the videos, and I just really hope I was some help. And if you guys have any questions about it, whether you have a 2.8 liter V6 or a 305 or a 350, 700 R4s, anything like that, if you guys have questions about removing them, installing them, anything like that, just please let me know. I will do my absolute best to help you. And that's basically it, guys. It's a pretty simple process. It just takes a little bit of time and patience, because even I get frustrated. And like the exhaust, I was not having fun trying to remove that exhaust after I got it unbolted from the headers. But I just stopped for a second, took a break, and came back to it and used my head. Just take your time, think smart, be safe, make sure you have jack stands under everything, and keep track of your tools, bolts, anything you remove, anything like that. Other than that, it's a pretty simple process, just time consuming. And if you have a buddy, it really doesn't take long at all. I think me and my dad, we pulled an engine out in like an hour or two when I was back home on leave. So it's really not that hard. So thank you guys for watching once again. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.